He's got it.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Let's show on the road. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Town Council Workshop. Today is Tuesday, December 16th. It is 5:31 p.m. We are meeting live tonight at 24 Main Street in Gray, Maine, in the Town Council chambers. For those who are wishing to join online, you can go to the Gray, Maine website, select today's meetings, and simply click on Microsoft Teams. The phone number to call in is 469-708-0487, and tonight's meeting ID is 499-310-095. And I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order, and let's start with a roll call. Councilor Klinger.
Present.
Councilor Farrington.
Present.
And Councilor Palangi, present. Tonight's workshop is going to be focused on LD 1829. This legislation aims to reduce zoning and land use barriers to housing production at the municipal level and will impact housing density in the town of Gray. And at this time, I would like to turn it over to Kristen.
Thank you. Kristen Musinski, Town Planner. So tonight, the goal of tonight was to make sure everyone has an understanding of the new state law that was known as LD 1829 and is now chaptered law 385. This goes into effect in July, so we've been working on reviewing it and getting familiar so we can work the zoning changes into our ordinance to bring to you at a later date. We expect that the state will be bringing the rulemaking and have some more clarity on kind of some how-tos for municipalities in January, February. So probably after we can get a handle on that piece and have some more legal review, we'll be having that ready to really get into the weeds on this about how it changes our ordinances. But tonight we wanted to take kind of a high-level view. So just kind of walk through some of the basics of how we expect that this will affect the town of Gray. One of the big pieces with this legislation is figuring out where your designated growth area is located. For the town of Gray, that was identified by the residents in the future land use map as being the village center and village center proper, which is about where we are right now in this kind of downtown area. So we are kind of locking that in for the purposes of this law and its implementation as well, based on that voter input. So since the town does not currently have what they're calling a public special district or comparable sewer system, the density provision allows up to 4 dwelling units on any lot in village center and village center proper, and up to 3 dwelling units in any lot outside of those 2 zoning districts. And just to make sure we're clear, particularly for the public, that a dwelling unit includes your living, cooking, sleeping, bathing, bathroom. It's so if you have like a duplex, that's 2 dwelling units, just to be clear. So in both of those areas, both in village center and outside, the dimensional requirements, which is the square footage per the dwelling unit, will still apply, and the septic system requirements are still going to be a constraining factor in the town of Gray for sure. So in this village center and village center proper, they're requiring that there be, in our growth district, that the lot size be no greater than 20,000 square feet, and that it be at least 1 dwelling unit per 20,000 square feet. Right now, this town is already requiring 10,000 per dwelling unit, so it's less than that. So we're not looking at changes there for our growth district as far as that's concerned. At present, outside of the growth area, there would not be new restrictions because Gray does not have public or special district sewer service, even in areas of town where we do have public water line. However, if a lot or several lots were to be served by a public special district or other comparable sewer system, the minimum lot size would drop to 5,000 square feet. So that would be a significant impact. And the lot area per dwelling unit would also be significantly reduced. So that is a piece we're looking to be prepared to contemplate should that come up at any point with a particular development, or should there be sewer added.
Do we know what a comparable sewer system is yet?
Yes, we did actually reach out because we were like, what does that mean legally? So it means any subsurface wastewater disposal system that discharges over 2,000 gallons of wastewater per day. And that's as regulated by the subsurface wastewater disposal rules. And we can certainly get further into that. I'm sure Tammy can speak to that at length if you have detailed questions. So the accessory dwelling units, those are the smaller, what we used to call like in-law or accessory apartment. Most of the changes in the new law are already in place in our ordinance because we went through and did those when LD 2003 came about. And to be just one of the things that's key to note is there's no owner occupancy requirement, but the requirement that the same party owns both the primary and the ADU does remain. So you don't have to live there, but you have to own both. So they're not totally separate units in that way. There's a training provision in there for zoning board of appeals and planning board members, which is something we pretty much do already. The change to subdivision law is that if you want to create, and I do have an error in the memo just to correct that, the current standard is if you're creating 3 or more dwelling units in a building that you're triggering subdivision, they're increasing that to 5. So you won't be going to subdivision review unless you're going 5 or more once this new law is in effect. And again, that's this coming July. So it's running down some of the other, we had a really great summary from the town attorney, so that's what I had shared. There's no use reinventing the wheel, but they had a good breakdown. There's an additional height allowance for affordable developments. And other things, most of it we've already gone through. The dimensional requirements for like duplexes and multifamily can't be greater than they would be for single family. That's going to influence some changes in our current zoning ordinance. ADUs will now be allowed for multifamily structures. So right now you can't put an ADU on a duplex. Going forward after July, you would be able to do that. There are some sprinkler implications, again, that Tammy can speak to, for attached. Anytime you have 3 dwelling units that are attached, there are sprinkler implications, code implications for the building. And yes, most of those other pieces we've touched on. There is growth ordinances and designated growth areas are not allowed, but would be outside of designated growth areas. And again, ours are village and village center proper. So that is where we are right now. We've done most of the legwork and working in the changes to zoning ordinance, which is 402, and we'll be, again, bringing those to you early next year once we have a little bit more clarity on the rulemaking from the state of Maine.
So right now, at 5,000 square feet with the setbacks that we have, that's an unbuildable lot, correct?
Right. As it is right now, that would likely be unbuildable. We don't, again, right now, currently, we do not have any places in town where we would be required to do a 5,000 square foot lot. But should a developer come forward with that comparable sewer system, we'd be looking at that. So that is one of the changes we're going to have to look at addressing how setbacks would look on a lot of that size.
All right. And have you heard any square footage requirements on this new law yet on a dwelling? Like the accessory dwellings have to be 750 square feet. Do you know if they've changed that, or is that still in effect?
I did not see changes to the square footage for the ADU in this new law. We had it at the minimum with the prior council, and it got bumped up over a couple changes to the 800 square foot minimum that it is, maximum, that it is now.
Yeah, but when I read the law, it said just dwelling unit. It didn't say, like if you put 3 dwelling units on there, they have set a square footage. So you technically could put 3 full-size houses on until they change the law or the law goes through.
Yeah, it depends on several things.
Okay.
Your septic's got to support it.
Right.
The code for the building, if they're all attached, has to support it.
Okay.
Depends if you have enough land to support it. You have to have the square footage per unit.
Okay. So we won't know this until after January 1st?
No, the law is set. It's passed. We're waiting for some rulemaking because you don't want to go through the ordinance approval process more than once if you can avoid it. It costs money to do the notices, and then there are all the public hearings and the feedback and the council presentation and the planning board presentation. So we want to make sure we have all our ducks in a row. Everything's real solid
All right, sounds
before
good.
we dig into that.
So right now, is there anything that we can do to slow this down?
And there is that allowance for a growth ordinance outside of the growth district.
Okay, so I guess one of the things that I think we would, I would confirm it, and one of the things I think we'd like to see, if you could do, and you want to come up here as well, Tammy, is if you would be able to maybe provide us some draft language for an ordinance that we could take a look at with regards to this, so that we could be a little bit more prepared. My concern would be once this passes, They may say no ordinance can go back into effect unless they're already in effect. So I'd like to see if we could do something with that. Thoughts?
I'm on board with that.
Ken?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, did you have any parameters for that at this point, or you're looking just to have something before you, we can kick around and look at the details?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to come up and speak to that a little bit,
Yeah.
Tammy.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you could, just 1 second, Kristen.
Yeah.
I think that it's helpful if you could just explain real quickly to the council and then the people in the room about the rule-making process, how that works, and why we're waiting until after that's done, just so that they know the entire process and why we're not doing things right now.
Sure.
Just so that you understand the entire, the big picture, because there's a lot of moving parts here, and there's a lot of changes happening really fast, so.
Great, yeah, so with the legislative process, you know, the law passes, but the rulemaking is where you really get into the weeds and the details, if you've ever dealt with bringing legislation to the forefront. So the feedback period ended, I believe, at the end of October to get feedback on this law, to work into the rules, and it can have a significant impact on how it's implemented. So again, that's why we want to make sure that everything that I've already done to change 402, to change our zoning ordinance here, is aligned with that, and we don't need to make any tweaks to that before we bring it to the full public process for amending the zoning ordinance here to match it, which we are legally required to do, and would be a lot cleaner if we have it ready for July. But we'll pursue the other avenue beforehand as well.
That'd be great. You know, based on what the two of you see, what would be your biggest concern? I know there's some variables of things that we're not really sure what they exactly mean maybe, but what are your biggest concerns? And do you see any ways that we might be able to collectively address them? Other than the ordinance, are there other things that you're seeing?
And it definitely changes the density. I know, you know, typically you'd have to come to full subdivision review, which has a lot of other layers to it as far as, you know, some levels of protection, if you will, and some other safety considerations and other ability for the planning board or the residents here to have a say.
Mm-hmm.
This allows some multifamily uses, or at least some triplex uses, up to 5 without bringing it to planning board. And to my knowledge, no, there's not anything we can really do to address that. The density is certainly a change. I think probably our biggest concern is if there were to be a development that brought in water and their own sewer system effectively and got us to those 5,000 square foot lots, that would be a significant change for the town of Gray. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that front.
No, I just wanted to address a couple things, mainly Ken's comment about the square footage of the ADUs and square footage of dwelling units, because you are allowed under the IRC to have tiny homes, which is basically designed as a 400 square foot home or less. There is a minimum number that you do have to get to that's probably around, I'd say 200, just to meet all the minimum building code requirements like clearances around your bathroom fixtures and kitchen sinks and all of that stuff. So you could be looking at significantly small homes. I think it's important for the council to understand that, you know, basically to like kind of boil it down and make it real simple, that outside of your growth areas, pretty much, and we've included a map of where all the public water lines are within the town of Gray, because basically it doesn't say that you have to have public sewer. It says that you have to have a comparable sewer system. And that's pulled from a definition that's out of another state zoning law that I have and can share if people need it, but it's in there. And that's the 2,000 gallons per day system that could support multiple homes. I think that the biggest thing that you have to understand is anywhere where there's public water, you could have a subdivision that does comparable sewer systems, say a clustered subdivision, and you put your sewer system in your open space. In any of these veins that go through, you know, which is mainly the main arteries within the town of Gray, could have one of these reduced setback lots, these reduced minimum, you know, 5,000 square foot lots. Currently, the setbacks within the town of Gray prohibit that because you can't meet it. You're looking at probably a minimum of, with a 50-foot front and rear setback, 25-foot sides. It's a 24 by 36 house. I played around with the numbers, maybe a 25,000 square foot lot. I personally think in the future, there's definitely going to be litigation around that between developers and it's whoever wants to be the guinea pig. I think that there will be. I think that somebody's going to take up the fact that if you put a law into effect and then a town prohibits you from building on that lot size, you know, there's some things in zoning that it says that towns can't do that. But again, I think there's going to be litigation around a lot of these things throughout the state. And, you know, 3 or 4 years from now, we'll be figuring out how we're actually interpreting things. I think that's just unavoidable with new laws such as these. And it's moving so fast and so quick that, you know, her and I are barely keeping up with that. So, but I wanted to kind of throw those few things out there for you to think about and to let you know. So as of right now, we don't have to change our setbacks. As of right now.
So we can put in a growth ordinance outside of the.
Correct.
In rural areas.
Correct. You can do, municipalities can do growth ordinances. There's a state law that is a growth rate ordinance law, which sets limitations for what you can do as far as what your minimum number needs to be. And basically, it's 105% of the average of the number of dwelling units. And there's exemptions in there over the past 10 years. And I'm fairly certain accessory dwelling units are exempted. Obviously, affordable housing is. And I'm fairly certain accessory dwelling units have to be exempted as well.
Okay,
And
so
anything in a growth area, right?
Yeah, we
outside.
can't touch growth areas.
So right now, what is the average building permits that we pulled per year for the last?
It's
2
like
years?
46. Well, it's basically, what I did is our current software doesn't have all of that data. We only go back about 6 years.
Okay.
So I went to Lauren Asland, who's amazing with her numbers, the tax assessor, and got her to pull numbers for me of the last 10 years. And the number was 46. Multiply that by 105%. It's around 48, 49.
Okay, and we can increase that a little bit if
Correct.
we wanted to, but we can't decrease.
Correct.
Okay.
And without specifically reviewing the law, I don't remember if that's, well, you can't do the growth area, so it doesn't matter. Because the old law, I was reading the laws that are in effect right now, which you can do that. But now, after July 1, we're not going to be able to do growth caps on the growth areas, so
So
village is out.
basically, we can just put a growth ordinance in outside the designated growth area.
Correct.
Okay.
Basically, everything outside of VC and VCP.
Okay. And so we can get you to write this up and bring us back to the council.
Yeah, we can draft an ordinance.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
Is that something you want to do?
I think it's a great idea. Let's get ahead of it.
Charity?
Yeah.
Okay, well, why don't you and Kristen go ahead and move forward with that? And when you have that figured out, bring it back to the council and we'll go from there.
Yeah, we will. Yep.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions at all around?
Now, it's not, yeah, in the growth area, roughly how, I know it varies. Any idea roughly how many permits a year we do in the growth areas? Like
Not
building-
right
like
now, but I can
building?
get that number for you.
Just, I mean, it would be great. mean, I'm not-
I
I'm not-
believe I have that number because basically what she did is she extracted information out of her tax database, and I believe that has the, I believe that spreadsheet has the associated zone with it
Excellent.
in the information that she gave me. I was basically trying to just get the average number. I wasn't looking at how many.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about the ADUs because we're already on existing buildings, but I'd just be curious. It'd be kind of interesting to see what they are in the growth area as well.
Right,
So
I
we
mean, the
kinda get a-
ADUs could have a pretty big impact too, but I don't know if, one of the questions that I do need to ask our town's attorney is if you can have an unlimited of ADUs associated with a single family, and if we can regulate the number of ADUs per year. I just need to ask that question and
So
get
you're saying
clarity.
if somebody has an existing house, they could add an ADU and then add another ADU?
I can have 2 right now,
Yes.
Really?
right.
So the
So sorry.
designated, I'm sorry.
I know.
So you still have to meet dimensional requirements, but the second one is not exempt from the land use ordinance. So say we have a 5,000 square foot lot, you have a house, you get it 1 free ADU. Then you come back and say, all right, Tammy and Kristen, I want to add another one. You need to give me another 5,000 square feet, so you need another 10,000.
Okay.
right? Correct? Yeah, okay. Yep.
And those, like, if it's a house that has I'm assuming if it's a house that has like a sprinkler system, they've got to do the same thing for the ADUs? They've got to be comparable with the house, or how does that?
Right, if there's 3 units in one building, 3 is the magic number for sprinkler systems. If there's 3 units all in one building, that's when that kicks in. If you have a 2-unit and then a detached ADU, you do not need to do that.
Okay.
So if they put a 3-unit on, called it condos, do they still have to have a sprinkler system? in
Yes.
it? Okay.
But I don't think legally they can condo it because it needs to be held in the same ownership.
Correct. It's per lot, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
What type of scenario when they say, or comparable, what type of, are you talking like a grinders with a holding tank? Like, what do you,
Basically, what you're looking at is, say, when you design septic systems, you're basically looking at 90 gallons per day per bedroom. Okay, so if you want to make it simple for the math, let's say 200, just for easy. Basically, that means a septic system, 2,000 gallons per day. Well, if it was 180, could pretty much serve 12 homes with public water, and you could have a 5,000 square foot lot, minimum.
so you're saying a 2,000 gallon septic could serve how many?
It depends on the number of bedrooms.
Okay,
She said 12.
12, all right.
Yeah,
But 5,000 square foot lot, that doesn't even exist right now, right? With the
Correct.
setbacks that we have. Right?
correct,
Even with a sewer.
correct.
Correct.
All right.
It's mainly the road frontage. You need 250 feet of road frontage.
But in cluster housing, that's cut in half, correct?
It is cut in half, and I haven't tried to figure that number out yet, but it would probably be about half of what I originally figured out, which if it was around 25, you could be looking at around 12.
I know, but with the setbacks, like you said, 50, 50, 25, 25, it's pretty much
I think they're reduced in clusters, though.
on the setbacks?
Yes.
Yeah, residential.
Yeah, the frontage is 125.
Right.
And it depends where you are, too, though. Those are the kind of details we're going to get into.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, going forward, when we go through this stuff, I mean, we still have to, this is just, this is an introduction. It's, we've got strict time limits, this is July 1, this is mandatory, not optional. We wanted to get this in front of you, to educate you on it, get some guidance from you, and then we will be coming back with all of these changes in the ordinances, because you have to approve them
Okay.
before July 1.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. Questions?
No,
All right.
thank you, Pastor.
Typically, like in the regular meetings, we offer comments from people out in the audience, and it's up to us if we want to do it on the workshop. And I think it would be great if somebody wants to come up and if they have any comments on this or any ideas or suggestions, you're welcome to come up. I don't have a watch, but usually we do 3 minutes. So if somebody wants to come up and speak for 3 minutes,
You'd like to hear our thoughts?
I would like to hear your thoughts. Sure. You're a resident of the town. This is your town.
Well, I'm not a resident of the town, but I have concerns.
All
Or
right.
the public views.
Well, come on up.
Because you're basing this off the public law, right? But at some point, we're gonna run out of the ability to serve in our current configuration. How fast do you anticipate the growth to happen? Like, how many a year?
Can we do something real quick? Can you just get your name and where you're from?
Oh, yeah, Bill Gardner, I'm superintendent of the Greywater District.
Beautiful. That's it. All right.
Sorry.
Thanks, Bill.
We have 1,100 services right now. We have about 800,000 gallons of capacity storage, and we were pumping about 550,000 gallons a day this summer with all the drought and irrigation. So another 1,000 services, you're talking probably another 200,000 gallons a day just on the residents. That's not even including irrigation and all the other work that people would do. We need another storage tank. State gonna help us build a storage tank, or they expect the ratepayers to support this growth to happen, because without the public water, you're not going anywhere, you know what I mean? So, there's work to be done to this system that we're working on and trying to figure out a way, but it's not cheap to build a tank, and the funding possibilities are pretty limited for us right now, so I'm working on some stuff, but.
Well, that's great information. That's important feedback, so.
You know, another 1,000 services, this seems like it could happen pretty quickly. I mean, just what was happening down here off of North Raymond Road with the Liberty property, talking about 600, you know what I mean? At some point, you know, we're gonna be in trouble with the water, for sure. I'm just not gonna be able to store
Realistically,
it.
how many more houses do you think you could support?
1,000 services in my current configuration right now I could do.
So 1,000 would be the maximum?
I'd start to get worried at another 1,000
Okay.
services, which
Okay.
feels like it could happen pretty quickly with this in the next 5 to 10 years.
We'll hope it doesn't.
You know what I mean? So,
No.
the tank that we want to build a twin to this one up on the hill here, another 600,000 gallons, you know, that would give us 1.2, and then our dry mills tank is another 200. You know, I can only drop those tanks so far before I start running out of pressure for fire protection and services.
Yeah.
So I only have so much that I can support without getting another tank. We own the land, we have the plans, we're looking at funding sources. I was actually hoping Denise could help me with some grant stuff at some
Your 3
point.
minutes is up, sorry.
All right,
Okay,
so
sorry.
keep
That's
up the
okay.
communication. I appreciate the.
Yeah, so those are our concerns.
No, that's great. I
Yep. Appreciate
greatly
the info.
appreciate the
Yep,
input. Thank
absolutely.
you.
Yep.
Could I just address what he?
Absolutely.
So basically, I think this is a good example of, to follow up on what I just said. I mean, the state is mandating us to do this. It's not optional. Krista and I don't have a choice. You know, we're told this is what the state is telling the municipalities, this is what you have to have on your books, this is what you have to allow. So I think this is a good example of, again, what's gonna happen in the future. So developer comes in and says, well, I have to be allowed to do this, and then we say, okay, you meet all the requirements, and then the water district says, well, I can't. This is probably where some of the litigation is gonna come in, and it's some of the unknowns. And, because I don't disagree with them, I mean, this is this is a rural town. I mean, you have limited resources here. You don't have the capacity to, a forced main running down your front, whatever, like I do. I mean, this is, you have like, there's confinements here. So these are the things that, in the future, I think that, are the things that are gonna be worked out in the details. But we don't have a choice if the water district says, hey, we can't support this. There isn't any exemption in that state law that says, if a public utility commission says we can't support it, you can't do it. It's not like that. It's, you gotta do this, mandatory. So I just wanted to, it's not that I completely agree with you. But I also think that if the.
Just questions that we have.
Yeah, but if the town's looking at doing a growth ordinance, I don't know if you're familiar with those, but basically what that does is it caps the number of single-family homes that can be built within a calendar year. So, if they're looking at numbers of 50 or 60, even 100 per calendar year, that would slow that. You're not gonna have 1,000, okay? So I just wanted to clarify that.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to come up and speak?
Excuse me?
Anybody else like to come up and speak?
Close public comment.
All right, we're gonna close out comments. Oh, no, please, go right up. Sorry about that. Come on up.
Joe Murray, I'm one of the Board of Trustees of the Great Water District. Concerned and worried about what is the impact of this on the wellhead protection zones. That really is the gold standard for us, and we're looking at 4-acre zoning there, which is clearly more than 5,000 square feet. I don't know if, doesn't seem to be any exemption for that. And density is not bad in and of itself, but in the wellhead, density is not a good thing, much like the shoreline zoning. Density is just where the problems come from. So hopefully there'll be some way of protecting the water, since water is one of the requirements. And, once you contaminate the water, what are you going to do, tear the houses down? We just don't have it. So we have to think about protecting those resources somehow or other, I guess. Okay. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your comments. Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
I'll just address
No,
what
please
you
come on
said.
up,
Is that Kristen and I haven't seen anything about anything regarding wellhead. I totally understand the concern. I will reach out to the town's attorney and ask, but as far as, to the best of our knowledge, there isn't any exemptions in the law that talks about any type of protected watershed area or wellhead type area currently.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely something worthwhile, obviously, taking.
Yeah, the only thing it addresses is shoreline zoning.
Okay. All right, perfect. Anyone else? All right, so at this time, we're going to close on open comments, and then just to let everybody know, our next town council meeting is going to be on January 6th. We have a workshop at 5:30, and then we have a regular town council meeting to follow at 7 p.m. And other than that, I think we're going to adjourn tonight's meeting.
We got a motion.
I don't think you need to make a motion at workshop.
You sure? I'll
So we're
second
going to
it.
go with you in a second anyways. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Merry Christmas.